Alright, man. So, super basic MIDI fundamentals. With you and Jared, you set up a GX to go to an 88 box. The 88 box, you've assigned it on a MIDI receive a channel number, and that's kind of like a telephone number, but there's only 16 of them. So let's say we give your 88 box channel number 3. When you set up commands, you send a PC1 to channel number 3, and that loads preset number 1 on that box. Really basic, really simple. If you add another box, like an Iridium, stick that on channel 4, you can send a PC1 to channel 4, and that will load up, I don't know, a Fender amp or something like that. So you could have a Fender amp, you could have this thing doing one thing, you could add another delay box, that goes on another channel 5. Sending a PC1 there would give you, I don't know, a tape delay or something like that. You know, you define what the presets are in every box, and you can have 127 PCs or 127 CCs. CC is typically turning a dial. PC is a preset, which can be any number of combinations of those dial positions in there. It's complicated to explain, but it's really simple. It's no different from presets and actually mangling a particular setting, like a dial, like a knob. What really I'm trying to do is make sure that it's understood that the MIDI receive channel should be an individual thing. And you'll see this with a DAW, especially. Most DAWs, most of these things, all when they come out of the box, they're already pre-configured on channel 1. Maybe your MIDI's turned on, maybe it's not. But the first thing you're going to do is, with any box, go in, turn on the MIDI receive, and give it a channel number. That should be individual. When you set up commands, obviously, you need to say whatever PC you're sending to, which channel it's going to for that box. Could be software as well. If you have plugins, you go from a GX to a DAW, and the DAW is hosting a whole bunch of plugins. Those plugins would have individual channel numbers. Really hope that's clear. These are two totally different things. Yeah, if that were a telephone, this would be your contacts list, and you're saying, okay, I know that all of these boxes are on these numbers, and to get that box to do something, I have to call that number and give it a command, say jump to that preset. That's how that works. The MIDI receive channel numbers should never, ever, ever be the same, except for rare cases. Say for the GX, you wanted to control a DAW, and the DAW is going to then control these things. Or you're working from your computer, the DAW should send from channel 1 to channel 2 to the GX and say load up, you know, my preset for, I don't know, Guns N' Roses, something, something, something. The Guns N' Roses preset will come up, and those foot switches on there, when you hit it, will send out PC commands to those boxes. Set up your amps, set up your delays, set up your 88 boxes on the separate boxes, you know, on your separate gear. It's a really fundamentally important thing to understand that the commands are separate. Those two have to match, which is what you're saying, and that is totally correct. But the MIDI receive channel has to be individual. Hope that helps. Hope it's not a can of worms, but this is a can of worms where so many people, when they get these things, they will set, if their GX is on 2, they will set the 88 box on 2. Because you're sending messages here, it works, and you think that's fine. The second you go one step beyond that, and you want to control, say from a computer that, or you want to control the GX to the DAW to control these things go awry, and then you have to start all over again, and that's a whole lot of work that I would really rather see you not have to go through. Trust me, I've been through this in the early days, years and years and years ago. So it's a fundamental thing. And for Jared, if you're doing videos on this stuff, this is something to get right from the start. Otherwise, people will go out, start doing the work, and then they're going to have to come back and reset up these things and reprogram all this stuff. And that's a major pain. You know what I mean? So I hope that helps. If it doesn't help, give me a buzz, give me a call, because over a video conference or something like this is a really simple concept to make clear. Once you start doing it, it becomes super clear. But two different things. MIDI commands, those match. Your MIDI receive channels have to be different, or you're asking for trouble. Not all the time. So you had two iridiums, one in one rack and one in another rack because you're doing a big show. Those could be on the same channel. Those two racks could be mirrored, and your door could control both of them. If that one dies because it loses power, you have a backup one doing the same thing, and the programming is simple. There's all kinds of things to consider when you're doing this stuff, but for like a basic home rig, you've got a GX on the floor, which is acting as a MIDI controller and a MIDI receiver. That would communicate always in one direction to the DAW. The DAW would communicate always in one direction back to the GX. You have MIDI through turned on here, so your USB would go out on 5-pin and start controlling all those boxes. It's fundamentally important that somebody hooking this stuff up understands this from the start, or you're going to end up doing a lot of extra work, and that's not cool.